Previously on Movie the Needle.
I don't like this film.
This is one that I like.
And of course, Emily Blunt.
All right, so we move on to the plot. So I'm going to start with some of the things I liked about the plot. And I think one of the things that I liked was the setup of Walt's current life as we meet him. Right,
The funeral.
Start with the
dead
funeral.
wife.
Yep. Starting with the wife's funeral, who clearly, it's very clear and obvious that is the only meaningful connection that he's had apart from his car.
Yes.
in his life.
Are we
or
sure the
since he
wife came
from
first?
Korea.
Are we sure?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I'm not one to comment on bedroom activities.
Oh, I didn't even see that coming.
Hey!
Neither did he. Way!
So you can tell that she clearly gave him a purpose, a direction.
Yeah.
And then his shitty kids and grandkids, they're all in that first scene, that first setup. It sets the tone, and it's not subtle about it, as we've kind of already said. But it kind of sets you go okay, right, all right. I see why he's a pissed off, grumpy old man. I get it, and I quite like that. He's just straight in there. You know it. I think basically the first thing he does is growl at his grandkids, basically,
it's
right,
early.
coming in, and that sets the tone. So I did quite like that. What's your thoughts on some of the plotty kind of things?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about story.
Oh, go on then.
Again, with this pretense that we know the difference. So, I think this is a very conservative idea of what integration and redemption along those lines looks like.
Clint Eastwood, a conservative? No.
Because I think, and this is why I struggle to get into the story, because it is a simple story. Like you just said, the setup is crystal clear, and ultimately he does integrate, and he finds redemption in himself. Right. My issue with why I sort of struggle to get along with that is because he only ever sort of integrates when he finds reason to do that to serve himself. The idea that acceptance is the starting point rather than the end point is completely alien to this film, right? Yeah. Even things that end up as mutually beneficial actually start out with a common enemy. So you mentioned the black gang or whatever you call them. That little. That's really because he's got a massive disdain for the whole what would you call it? Not bad behaviour. There's a better word for it than that. But I don't know, disorder or something.
Yeah, it's how they're behaving rather than anything else. Yeah.
So it starts out as a common enemy, and then obviously he ends up saving her and everything, which is unquestionably good.
But just on that, and on that scene in particular, so what I quite liked about that is that he, if he'd just seen a couple of black guys on the corner just doing whatever they were doing, just minding their own business, whatever, he would have just kept on driving. He's not he's going to get out of the car and start pointing a gun at them, right? He gets involved because he sees Sue in trouble, and by that point they've already started to not make a connection, but she isn't just a faceless person. There's some involvement in his life. But the bit that I want to point out here is that he doesn't just eviscerate the two black guys. The white kid who's
his son.
Yeah.
How much did you feel that was him talking directly to his son? You have failed me. You've not lived up to the expectations I've set you. Fucking sort it out. Because it did feel a bit like that.
But we're saying, what's with all this bro shit?
Yeah.
This isn't how Clint Eastwood sounds. It's a terrible impression. But the fact that he doesn't just focus on it. He's just no, look, I fucking hate everyone a little
Yeah, he
bit
does,
from all these things as well. So I thought that part of that scene rounded out his general. No, look, I'm not just racist. I also hate everyone. He
Yeah,
is still
but
racist. Don't get me wrong. That's the thing. But
I mean, yeah, but fair enough. Okay, but like not to get bogged down in specific plot points because overall,
in the
I
plot
feel
section,
yeah,
no,
I
we
know,
shouldn't do
yeah,
that.
I know. I feel like this whole thing carries through of like it's only ever first and foremost because there's a benefit to him. Even what is the ultimate sacrifice, right? The end point. That is first and foremost about him finding peace with what he's done. No, I'm not saying that is not a sacrifice and that is not him doing something that's good for somebody else. But he only gets there because he's like, do you know what? I've lived my life. The thing I really cared about is gone anyway. I've been struggling with all this, and actually, there's a way now that I can find a way out for me, first and foremost. And then obviously that'll benefit others. I mean, a really crude way of saying this is, I think racist old man finally doing something decent isn't like the home run that this film wants it to be, right?
Yeah, but I agree yet disagree with that. So we sold this. I sold this in the beginning as a redemption story, right? Which I think it is to an extent, but it's not a transformation or character transformation thing, right? He doesn't change as a character.
Yeah, I'd agree.
He's
with
not
that,
more accepting. He doesn't become more accepting.
No, it's all on his own terms.
Yeah, he doesn't see the error of his ways. He's still the same old racist grump that he is at the start. He just learns to respect this small group of people that have entered his life. Like, not because of anything other than, he's actually spent some time with them. He's making an exception to these people.
Yeah.
He's not going, oh, yeah, no, you're right. All Hmong people might not be thing. He's just like, no, these specific group of people, just that group of people, I've got stuff in common.
I agree. I have such an issue with that. This is why I struggle to get on with the story, because you think of how present that is in our politics today, with people voting for issues where they are casting huge aspersions and generalizations over demographics of people, and they're excusing that to themselves by going, oh, but not you, my colleague that I work with. I don't want to send you back. I don't want to... And I really struggle to get on with that. I agree, he didn't change.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I found it interesting, though, because I think that another version of this film, right, is more of a transformative where he sees the light. I don't think he sees the light in this. He's 90 years old or whatever, you know. He's you're not going to at that stage.
So I mean, one final note before I move on to The Unforgiven, because I think there's a really neat segue to Unforgiven here. I just said The Unforgiven the first time. Really sorry about that. It's a different film.
You know what I was disappointed with Unforgiven?
Go on.
They didn't say Unforgiven. I was expecting at some point.
You needed him to grunt and say, guess I'll be unforgiven then.
But is it even a word, unforgiven? Like,
Unforgiven's a word, yeah.
Well, how would you use it?
Well, I mean, I would use it by saying, so I dubbed the Unforgiven. But that's a lyric from a Metallica song. So.
Doesn't help me. It's got use it in a sentence.
He remained unforgiven.
That's a weird sentence, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it.
He said sorry, but he remained unforgiven.
Yeah, that works.
Not like.
What would you say? Sorry, he remained not forgiven.
He didn't forgive him.
He didn't.
Yeah, they did. That she, fine, they,
or she.
Jesus.
Simon's gone woke.
So.
Okay, right. So
what are you moving on to?
All right. So yeah, one last little note, because we've mentioned this a couple of them. It is a tad white savoury. Savoury?
The end
savoury.
The death scene is troublesome.
It's just a little bit. And like I said earlier on, I mean, he's himself an immigrant, and they never really touch on that.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting part to take of the some comeback from the Hmongs. They say, "Oh, Kowalski, that's
yeah." And that is one of my problems with. I mentioned at the start. I like films that have a social commentary on them, and that social commentary was nothing more than skin deep in this film. So I struggled to resonate with the story. Now, Unforgiven, similar story arc, right? For his character, in that they're both struggling with the past, and they find redemption for themselves by essentially going back to do like one last dirty deed or whatever. You know, one last job, one last kill, whatever it is. I mean, in
just when you thought they were out.
In Gran Torino, he doesn't actually kill anyone, but he does go back to that world when he's beating them up and whatever, and then he realises the best way to do this is actually get them to kill me, and I'm done.
Yeah, didn't you segue? But didn't you think that was quite a
decent
nice
plot device? Yeah,
yeah.
Didn't mind it,
because the obvious way would have been a Jerry action. He goes in all guns blazing, right? Kills them all, and like, yeah, I've saved you.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a bad film.
It would have been bad.
So you talk about white saviour-y. That would have been really
bad. Yeah.
Okay. But I found some similarities between the two. Now, we're talking about that lack of depth commentary on the social commentary and the culture and all the rest of it. Unforgiven does more in the first 5 minutes to explore the idea of sort of justice, and there's more than one side to this story in the first couple of scenes, because you've got like, look, it might be quite a perverse stance on redemption to go, well, the way I deal with the atrocities I've committed in the past is to go and commit more, but this time kill the right people, right? Quite a perverse thing, and I don't want to. It's quite a common theme in Eastwood's films that I don't want to throw his entire idea of morality under the bus, because what I think Unforgiven does very well in Gene Hackman's character is to go, well, he's keeping order, so on the face of it, he is good in this.
Yeah.
But what he does is not
how
good.
he does it. Yeah.
How he does is not good. And actually, the prostitutes in Unforgiven have a chance at a better life just for a second when the criminal has said, you know, I'm going to give you this horse or whatever, give you a better life. And her employer, who started treating her as property, has been like, no, we don't want that, and all the rest of it. And the sheriff never weighs in on the right side of that moral argument. All the rest of it. You've got two scenes really early on in Unforgiven that round this out loads, and this film never gets into it. I think there's such a difference.
Oh, come on here. Unforgiven is a better film than Gran Torino. I mean, I agree with
100%.
that. Yeah.
And the thing I really wanted out of Gran Torino, story-wise, was that sort of thing, and it isn't here. So then I'm looking for something else, and I couldn't find that either.
So, just switching tack slightly, the friendship building scenes, you know, where he's finding a connection to Tao, and he's essentially being a bit of a father figure and teaching him things and stuff. How did you get on board with that kind of development?
I think there's still a little bit of the same, because initially he doesn't want Tao, and then it's only when he looks across the road and says, I'm sick of fucking looking at that house. Yeah. I'm going to use you to fix that up. And then I think that it's fair to say it's undeniable they definitely strike up a genuine relationship.
Yeah. And I think that's a realistic thing, right? That it comes from a place of selfishness, that he's like, well, for fuck. Like, you know, when they're all bringing him food and things like that, he's just like, no. And he's like, oh, actually, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, just a little bit. It's not coming from maybe these people are all right, you know. It's coming from oh, fuck, this is really good food, and I can actually use him to do that. Then the genuine sort of relationship builds, and there's that light humour through that whole thing where he's essentially using him, but as part of his punishment, where he's taking notes from neighbours of jobs to do. Like that was.
There's
that
also
was
the
nice.
observation, isn't it, that he observes that Tao is the only one that goes to help the woman pick up her groceries.
He's like, this world is basically gone to shit, and then there's no hope for anything, and then he's like.
And we know he appreciates that because he verbalizes, what do you know?
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could again.
You've noticed that, have you, Walt? Yeah.
Again, that could have been that could have been all it could have been. Yeah, you're right. But the scene in particular I want to talk about is where he's going through the different tools, right? So he tells like, oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Love that scene. One, because I learned so much. I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, is that what that is? Oh, right. But what did you make of the 3 essential tools?
Yeah, he's spot on there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
WD-40?
Yeah. So
duct tape? Vice grips? We don't call them vice grips, do we? They're kind of like clamps, clampy things. Like.
No. He gave him a pair of vice grips, yeah.
What are vice grips then?
Clamps are like the...
Not the
Yeah,
thing.
that's what a clamp... Yeah, it translates well
Oh,
to
yeah,
audio
yeah.
format, doesn't it?
Winding the screwy bit to pull two plates
Yeah,
together.
we call them vice grips, yeah, for sure.
They're just the squeezy...
Squeezy, spring-loaded vice
spring-load
grips,
things.
yeah.
Cool.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there's a really good flowchart, engineering flowchart. Have you ever seen it? Variation on the same thing. And it says, does it move? Yes or no? You go down the no, and then it'll be like, right, no, it doesn't move. Is it supposed to? Yes or no?
WD-40.
Yeah, you're going to end up at gaffer tape to stop it moving, or WD-40 to make it move.
But it did get me thinking, Carl.
Go on.
3 essential items.
Yep.
What would be your 3 essential, not tools, but 3 essential items that you now, in your current life, can't live without, or would struggle to live without, or would have to significantly adjust your life if you didn't have them?
Oh, well, that's easy. That'd be my wife and 2 daughters.
They're not things, but nice to know.
Sorry, I'm still thinking like the brothel owner in Unforgiven. 3 items.
Yeah.
Can I say phone?
I mean, I was
That's a bit
really
of a cheat, isn't
I was
it?
really disappointed in myself that came on my list. I was like, damn it. But I couldn't get past it.
It depends, though, because this is why I feel it's a bit of a cheat. Because I think why I would want my phone, it's not necessarily for talking to anyone.
No.
It's because I like to keep up with the news.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have access to directions, or like, the bus timetable or something. What's that sound? Okay.
What?
What? What? Sounds like you say what?
No, I didn't say anything. Porn.
So, see that again.
No, I don't know.
Is it an echo? Is that what's going on?
Just said porn.
Yeah, so I feel like I would feel a little lost without it for those reasons. That being said, when I recently have been on holiday and did not have internet access, it was a nice release.
Tell you what else will do give you a nice release? Porn.
All right, let's say phone's cheating. 3 items.
It's cheating. I struggle, yeah. But then my second item, right, is related to the phone.
Oh, go on.
So I was like, my AirPods, like the wireless headphone things, it's just a game changer. Just because I can listen to stuff without a wire getting in the way. Like the phone doesn't even have to be on me; it can just be near me. It doesn't have to be AirPods. Other pods are available, wireless headphones. But just to be able to listen to stuff.
Well, look, the other thing
without
here is
putting it on everyone else.
You haven't laid out what situation are we in here.
This is you're open. 3 essential items. So my third item.
Open? Well, then I need to be prepared for all eventualities, don't I?
Yeah, but think in your general life that you go for, that you live on a daily basis, what are those 3 items?
Well, I
you
use
think
my
if
phone
you
way
didn't
too
have
much, so
damn right, mate.
It's going to be difficult to stray away from that. I mean, but then it's just variations of the same stuff. It's like, my laptop after that.
Yeah, but if you've got your phone, you don't need the laptop. You can do everything on your phone that you can do on a laptop to an extent, right?
I don't know. What else do I like to do? Go for walks and drink beer.
It's not an item. Shoes.
Yeah, shoes and fucking a fridge to keep all the lovely beer.
I was generally going to go down the shoes route. And I thought, like, people can walk around barefoot. It's fine. I could live with that. So the one thing I said was a good sharp knife for the kitchen. What would you be without a sharp knife?
No, do you know what I would have as my first kitchen implement? Thermometer.
Thermometer?
Yeah, meat thermometer.
Like, it's not essential.
Yeah, that's...
Well, it's not essential.
Don't cook without it.
That's absolute bollocks.
Yeah, don't cook without it.
That's crazy.
Well, otherwise you're going to overcook your meat, aren't you?
You can cook so many things without a meat thermometer.
I don't.
Meatballs, you just like put in each one. Just getting.
Well, meatballs are different because it depends whether you freshly mince them or not, though, to be fair. But if you freshly
burgers,
cook them, well, same deal. You cook them to any temperature you want after that. But...
Chicken breast.
Oh yeah, 100%. 165 degrees Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's more accurate, mate.
Well,
brewing hangover.
Jeez.
So no, I don't. Yeah, don't cook meat without thermometer.
So far you come up with phone,
meat
thermometer.
Yeah,
I did not see you coming.
I am going to have. Look, it might not be as neatly butchered as your meat, but it is going to be much better cooked because you are going to have made yourself ill or dried it the fuck out. And you're going to eat mine, you're going to go, Jesus, that looks ugly, but that is succulent.
Have you ripped this apart?
Yeah, with my
yes,
teeth.
I have.
And that'll do.
2.
Do I need to have a third?
Well, that's kind of the game. But
What's your third?
well, I said my wireless headphones are good
Oh,
job
yeah,
for the
wireless
phone,
headphones,
but
yeah.
the phone was cheating, so like the
phone
third
is
one's
cheating.
difficult. But then I don't need wireless headphones if I don't have a phone.
Yeah.
A radio.
Yeah.
But then I don't need radio because I didn't have my phone, so it's like,
I can't.
difficult game.
I can't get my head around this question because it is too broad. If you give me particular
That's almost like,
situations,
imagine you're in the woods and a bear's coming at you. What 3 items would you want? I mean, it's not exactly a situation you're going to be in every day, is it?
well, no. But like, what have you? What
Okay.
have you?
Imagine you're a guy who lives in his house most of the time and works from home and doesn't leave very often. What would your 3 essential items
For
be?
fuck's sake, it's my actual life. Yeah. No, I don't like this game. Move on. Shite.
I have to say, I was, as I say, disappointed in myself and a little bit eye-opening that how much I depend on the phone. But hey ho. Do you want to move on to a slightly different question?
Go on then. The last one was so much fun.
I thought that would have been good. Walt has a basement, right?
Yep.
It comes up quite a lot. It's a pretty good basement.
Yeah.
It's got a sofa.
Yeah.
It's got
American basements are
freezer.
good, aren't they?
They are good. Have you ever had a basement in any house you've lived in?
No.
Would you want a basement?
Yeah, I think I would want a basement.
What would you put in the basement?
A sofa, a big telly, probably a bar.
Would you make it
Dartboard.
would you like it like a cinema room? You know, like where it's
no.
comfy seats, big screen.
Listen,
as in
the
like a projector.
family man in me thinks cinema room is the proper.
But you want
use.
multifunctional.
I want a games. I want a pub. Yeah, I want a pub.
So what would be in the pub?
Dartboard.
Yep, standard.
We'd have a decent screen.
And this is a basement,
you know?
so it's pretty big, right?
Yeah,
it's the
entire footprint of the
It's
house,
the footprint of the house. Yeah.
Yeah,
Minus the
dartboard. I mean,
stairs, basically.
pool table is a difficult one because even in a big room, you'd be surprised how much a room.
No,
a pool
you
table
need
is.
a lot of room for a pool
Yeah,
table.
so dartboard's one.
Table
Probably foosball
tennis.
table.
Or table tennis.
No, I think it's deceptive. You
Foosball
get
doesn't-
competitive, you're running around.
Yeah.
I think foosball table. You've got a screen in there. Yeah, you've got a couple of sofas.
Good bar area. You said that.
You've
right?
got a bar area, yeah. Nice glass fronted fridge, good selection of spirits behind the bar, obviously, and some wine for the ladies.
For a base drink. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a reference, not our actual views.
Yes, Al Murray. Yeah. All hail to the Isle.
I want a basement so bad.
Yeah, that covers it. What else do you need?
It'd be
You
amazing.
don't need any more than that.
Because there's no light coming in, right, from your basement. Really,
Lovely. Ooh.
it's like
Dank.
maybe a little,
dank.
maybe a little window that's kind of like a little. That's it.
Yeah, teasing you
Perfect
with the
for all
light.
these things.
Yeah, just reminding you there's an outside world that you're escaping from.
Yeah. Why do all
Lovely.
American houses have basements and why don't we?
I don't know. It's not like the short space, is it?
It's down. It's like, come on, dig deeper.
I guess a lot of older houses have basements, don't they?
I don't know. How old?
Um,
Well, I suppose I suppose like ones that are now flats, right? You have your basement flats and
yeah, there's like those. I think they're Victorian on Chatsworth and things like that. Top of Chatsworth, they've got.
really go narrow for the niche market of listeners here. Chatsworth, yeah, you know Chatsworth, yeah.
Yeah, I said Victorian. That's the key point.
Cool. What else you got on
Right,
the,
plot,
on the
so-
plot? Sorry, two really important questions. I needed to completely sidetrack.
Imagine if
the whole
anyone's still
conversation.
listening, they've turned off now. Okay, so like story wise, didn't land because morality is complicated, and this film sort of shies away from that. Now, pure plot points, because that's the next thing. I'm going, well, is there something fun there? What do you think to the shooting up of the house? I thought that was a little overblown. Given actually to that point, we just mostly had a couple of skirmishes and
It was definitely an escalation.
yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, it really did escalate though, because it was shooting up the house and then sexually assaulting and raping Sue, right? Sexually assaulting and raping. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have covered that with sexually assaulting.
Well, you're in the Gran Torino zone, aren't you?
Yeah,
Let's just cover all bases.
Both of them.
Yeah. Better say both.
And
mean, really, this film is my spirit animal, not yours.
But the raping? What?
No, with the fucking overstating the obvious again and again.
Sorry, just to clarify.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I mean, it was an escalation, but I think it needed that because otherwise,
it needed something down for fuck's sake.
No, because otherwise, how would it? What would lead it to ultimately the end, right? Because if it hadn't escalated, it was just like, oh, they're being a bit troublesome, pushing him around a bit. Like that's not going to lead Walt to ultimately sacrifice himself. I mean, how much of a sacrifice can it be when you know you're dying imminently anyway? Which I quite liked about this, that it wasn't a massively grand gesture because he's kind of like, well, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I thought that stepped on the story, but there we go. Okay, so yeah, fair enough. We needed something to happen, and in fact, my previous note on this was, well, we needed something to keep the film interesting. If that was overblown, though, what about the scene shortly after that when the priest essentially gives him the okay to go kill him?
He doesn't. That was a bit of a confusing point, right? Where
what would you be doing? Well, I'd probably be speaking to you. And they're sharing a beer by that point. So.
Yeah, and then he flips completely.
Yeah, because the next scene, what have you done?
One of my major changes is from that scene, right? Who, when there is a cooler in the room, grabs 4 beers for 2 people. You're just warming up the beer.
First one,
You can tell he doesn't drink. Maniac priest. This is why I hate religion.
He's a virgin. He was,
This is it. This is everything is wrong with religion in one scene. Doesn't know how to treat beer kindly.
Funny you should say that, because my next note is I'll never get over the ridiculousness of saying 10 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers.
It is brilliant, isn't it? Sorry, but I've killed. You just wanted me to say, okay, cool, right?
No, so serious point as a plot point on that though. That felt like, and it wasn't the only one. I thought that felt like a very shonky attempt at levity. But it really shouldn't have come there. Now, I didn't like the scene in the barbershop when they're trash talking.
With him or with Tao?
With Tao.
Oh.
I didn't like it because I just thought it was very clunky. And it might be down to Tao's acting, it might be down to the dialogue, whatever. A bit clunky, didn't work for me. But a bit of levity there was a reasonable decision to have taken.
Yeah, I think so.
I get that. The bit with I'll say 10 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers, because is that it? Is that all you've done? Say 10 Hail Marys and 5 Our Fathers. That shouldn't have been there, that attempt at levity, because that was one of the only bits we get of Walt actually bearing himself and saying that, well, I've struggled. This is the bit where we're trying to develop Walt's character, and the film just goes, whatever.
Oh, I don't know. I think it kind of, I don't know if it was intentional, it shines a light on the ridiculousness of confession,
maybe,
firstly.
Maybe.
And secondly,
does that well.
Yeah. And secondly, I think I may have already touched on this, but the fact of what he's getting off his chest is that personal experience thing, not a thing he has done. It is a thing he's not done, which is develop the relationship with his children, how much he regrets it and how much it beats him up clearly every day, and that he clearly fucking hates his kids. And to be fair, they do a good job.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you do a good job.
Yeah.
That scene where they she's the wife is like giving him the phone with the big buttons and things. It was properly just like, and then they walk out like, oh, that was very rude of him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, well, you would hate them.
Yeah.
But equally, you can tell like the regret in it, and especially when he's looking next door and seeing what a close knit family and thing it is. It's obviously a constant reminder. It's like, well, it could have been something I had, but I haven't been able to. And is that because of my experiences that I've had in Korea, which have essentially informed the rest of my life in a negative way, be it unintentionally? And I imagine his wife did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the relationship, and that was the only reason they ever came around in the first place. Now she's gone, so I think there's I don't know. As is usual with this thing, when I'm talking about the films with you, actually, I kind of unveil a lot more to it than maybe what I was witnessing at the time. And I think that part with the confession, which is what we were talking about, is actually pretty well structured. That constantly trying to get the confession when he does confess, it's like, oh, that's not what he was
Yeah,
expecting,
that's not what he
right?
thought. Yeah.
He thought there was going to be some one big thing that was.
Well, there is. He just doesn't confess that to the priest. He confesses
because
that
that is yeah, exactly. Well, that and that's, I guess, important as well, right? You kind of hold something back for someone that's more of a, I don't know, something he's more, I don't know, not ashamed of, but not more ashamed of, because he's clearly showing some shame for the lack of relationship with his kids, but. That's a darker side rather than a.
Yeah, so I've just remembered a line that he said, and I can't remember if he says it's to Tower the Priest. He says at some point, the worst thing is not what you're ordered to do.
Yeah.
It's what you are.
Yeah, what you do
not,
with that. Yeah.
No, it's not that.
But that's what his implication is, right?
He says it's what you're not ordered to do.
Yeah.
The things he's not ordered to. Do you think he's talking about his kids at that point?
No, I think it's not the following orders and doing it. It's the things you do from your own, off your own bat. And I think he was.
That's a shame, because that would have been good.
I think he was just talking. I think he was just talking about the killing of the.
Hang on a minute. I'll ask you that again, and we'll splice this one in, and then we can use that.
Oh yeah, I think that's it. Cool.
So I've just remembered the line. He says at one point, "It's not the things that you're ordered to do that's the problem. It's the things that you're not ordered to do." Do you think he's talking about his kids at that point, and he was never ordered to be close to his kids, so he never did it, and he's regretful?
No, I think it was just about killing the.
For fuck's sake! Right, it's still shit. You had your chance.
I can't cheat. Can't cheat in this game.
I mean, I would have left it in anyway.
You got any more changes? I think you covered your changes, right?
Look, I've no real more more plot points. The only thing I would change, I don't like his arc, and it really gets in the way of me feeling the story, because it feels so hollow.
So I don't think it's an arc. I don't think it is an arc. That's the thing.
No, I know. No, I do agree with you. He hasn't changed. Okay, so fair point. Therefore it is hollow, right? It's completely hollow. So then what is the story? So I sort of still have the same problem. Okay.
So I think that the message of the film, if it has a message, is that it's clearly showing that what Walt is doing, how he behaves, and what he believes is wrong. And it shows that that's wrong because of how he's able to relate and build a relationship with these people that he sees as complete outsiders and infringing on his lawn and associated areas, and he sees it as like a takeover. And the film shows that his opinions and his actions and how he is doing is wrong. What it doesn't do is bring Walt along with that journey and go like, oh, actually, yeah, he's a changed man. He's seen the error of his ways, and actually, yeah, that's
okay.
He now sees it. So yeah.
All right. So my change then would have been to flesh his sort of character out more, and maybe ditch those moments of levity in those crucial moments, so that I fully understand why he is. I believe his journey. I actually agree. We've talked about this. I agree. I don't think he does really have a journey. I didn't feel it, and I think you're right. It's possibly not the point.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So then my change has to be, and it's the thing that's so good in The Unforgiven that's missing here, is okay, so the point isn't his arc, but it's how does that all sort of mesh together, that social commentary bit's missing about how it's complicated. It's not about one person suddenly becoming good and fixing everything, because that doesn't exist.
No.
And there'll always be wrongs, and there'll always be people just trying to make their way. That's the thing that's missing, I think, in the plot then.
Yeah, and I think that
development missing for that.
That plot point change of actually getting them to explore the fact that he is obviously originally an immigrant or multiple generations back of it, I think it would be a good one. Okay, we'll go on to This Is Why You're Wrong. So our closing statement from each of us, and we'll lead off with you, Carl.
All right, look, I have said some pretty unpleasant things about this film, and I stand by them.
Shocked.
No, look, so I think this is a pretty poor film. I don't think it's well executed. The story is a bit of a miss for me. I do think I agree with what you're saying about what the actual point of the film is, which is not really how I saw it. But I do think you're probably right with that. I think that probably just shows it up in a slightly different way to the one I was thinking of. What I will say is I have very much enjoyed talking about this film.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I could say that it. I don't think it's any better now for having had this conversation than I thought it was at the start. But I don't really have a massively strong dislike of it. And we'll touch on this when we do rewatchability. I might watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's probably inoffensive enough to just flick on and go, yeah, it's all right. Just in general, I prefer a little more story or feeling out of a film, and it didn't quite resonate.
Yeah, I mean, I've highlighted a few things that are wrong with this movie. I think some of the Hmong actors didn't really hit for me.
Sorry, some of. Have you got some that did?
Well, the ones that literally just spoke.
Yeah. You see him eating that
fine.
stuff, he nailed that.
Yeah. Brilliant. The old lady, the old woman.
Oh, she was old, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, nailed it.
And actually, I think this film is a little overrated overall.
It's highly rated, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll come to that in the data section, right? But however, I think despite its failings, I still enjoy it. And you said about talking, you enjoyed talking through this, and I think through doing that, I was a bit worried I was moving the other way a little bit after I'd seen it.
We could have both gone to ambivalent.
I was a little bit. I feel like actually having talked it through and in preparation for this, I've probably stayed away just away from doing that. I don't really like it. It's a film, and we'll come on to this with rewatchability as well, which I found a difficult one. But the plot, it's fairly predictable, right? It's a fairly simple story.
Yeah.
But it comes down to, do I like it? And yeah, I think watching Clint growl racial slurs for 2 hours.
It's right in your wheelhouse.
Strangely entertaining. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's enough going on there that you can, through chatting it out over a couple of beers is I think there's enough there. I don't think it's quite the highly rated Clint masterpiece that people are making out there.
Hollywood loves Clint, don't they?
So I guess the question is, Carl, has your needle been moved?
Well, I think this is a lot like the Star Wars discussion for me. I still don't think that these two are particularly good films, but I don't really, in terms of have any sort of strong beef against them. So I think I'm going to chuck you an ambivalent, Simon. I'm going to go to ambivalent.
Excellent. I generally thought I would end up at ambivalent before we started this, and there are improvements.
I think
to
what
this
you've got
movie.
to remember is your good is like my ambivalence.
It's true.
Yeah, you like something that's like my ambivalence. You really like something that's like my I like it.
It's not far off.
And then the only difference between that next thing, you'd just be literally orgasming where you sat.
Yeah, that's basically it. We'll save that for Whiplash. All right, so we wrap things up with the data section. So start off with some ratings. We talked about how highly rated this is. So it's, looking at IMDb, 8.1 overall, 3.8 on Letterboxd, which I think is closer to where I would maybe put it. I think I'd probably...
Hang on a minute. They both round to 8 out of 10.
Yeah, no, but like closer.
Okay.
Closer to.
I mean, yes, it is closer.
Yeah. I in my IMDb, I'm probably closer to the 7 now, maybe 7. If there was a half, I probably would have gone 7.5, right, on IMDb. For the Letterboxd, I'm hovering between the old 3.5, around there. What about you?
Well, I think that to give this film a rating above 5 or 2.5 out of 5, 5 out of 10, 2.5 out of 5, I think that would be a bit of an insult to other films in that bracket.
And it is a difficult one, isn't it? When do you start
because
lining up what else you've rated and go,
exactly, yeah,
that's worse than that.
Because I think there are better made films out there that you're going to put in that sort of bracket, which is why I'm constantly trying to separate, and it's difficult to separate what I like and how good I think something is. So I'm going to give this a 1.5 and just reiterate that I definitely don't hate it as much as that rating suggests.
Yeah.
I just think it's not very well.
It has issues.
It's got a lot of execution problems for me.
The Old Critics, 73. Which actually I thought, I don't know. I expected it to be a bit. I expected it to be higher almost, though. I don't know.
I wonder how that tracks over time. Like if it was.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Reassessed. Well, that's kind of why I expected the actual IMDb rating to be lower, because it seems like one of those films that actually, when people rewatch it 15 years after it came out, they might start,
Yeah.
Bit of cancel culture going on, maybe, because it's about racism rather than so people therefore think it's a racist film. I don't know.
I don't know that this film would ever be susceptible to that sort of thing, because at no point did I ever think that it was glorifying Walt.
No, exactly.
Ever. So I think that's.
But that is not to say that people wouldn't interpret.
No, it's true, but they're just idiots, then, aren't they?
Well, yes, we know.
Just,
they do exist. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Rewatchability, Carl. I found it a difficult one.
Yeah, I found it a difficult one too. Because even before we had this chat, because it is so straight down the line, again, it's hard to sort of get mad about it. I'm never watching that piece of shit again. So I'm honestly wavering between the two. Meh.
Meh. Yeah.
Yeah. Meh.
Meh. Yeah. Meh. Yeah. Meh. We'll go for meh.
Meh.
Yes.
So who's turning it into a 10-point scale now?
Hey, you turned it into a 5-point scale. Before it was just yes and no.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Yeah. Best scene, Carl.
Now, I was really struggling for this.
Me too, actually.
But I think you mentioned it.
The tools.
I think the tools.
Yeah, that's what I settled on. I did have the barber scene, but not the second one.
Right.
The first one, where he's just in there, just getting his hair cut, and there's just a little bit.
It's been $10 for 5 years, you fucking idiot.
Yeah,
keep the change.
Yeah. But no, I think it's the going through the tools.
I agree.
Bit for me. But there was a bar scene, Carl. Just to point out, sorry, there was at least 2 scenes in a bar.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
They weren't great scenes. I mean,
no,
I don't think you're missing out there. Best quote.
I didn't think this at the time because I was just a bit tired of how it was repeatedly smacking me around the face like I was an idiot. But when I read the quotes back, this one did make me chuckle when I was reading it back. And the quote I've gone for, which was when he was asked by the father why he didn't call the police.
I've got the same one.
Well, I prayed for them to come, but nobody else.
That's exactly the same one I've got.
Which again, at the time, I was like, of course, I know he's grumpy about it. But when I read it back, I was like, yes, that's very funny.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, that's the one I had as well. I avoided going down the, excuse me, sir, I need a haircut if you aren't too busy, you old Italian son of a bitch prick barber. Boy, does my ass hurt from all the guys in construction job. Because it was just like, oh, okay.
It's 2 on the nose.
It was a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
Favourite character?
God, it's slim pickings, isn't it? You're talking about you don't like to go for the main character.
It's pretty true. I mean,
I mean, I didn't like the
The
main
barber?
character either. No, so I've got Sue, and it's definitely not for her execution. I guess it's more for what she could have been, because actually she's the real bridge between the two communities. She's the one that actually has got any sort of like agency to make things happen and bridge those. But yes,
Tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Yeah, you didn't have to go for one.
I think so. I put the barber as an option, but I mean, he's not exactly a character.
Yeah, not
exactly
pivotal.
a character in it, is it? Tearjerker? No.
People
Jerker?
did though.
Yeah. Well, what bit did they cry though? That's what
So
I think, like...
a lot of the reviews I read said, the good reviews obviously, I laughed at the start and cried at the end, and I did
when
not
he died.
get either of those emotions.
I did. I got the laugh, but not laugh at the start. But I laughed at the first funeral. Cried. At the
Well, I
second
think
one.
they're just laughing as he's introduced as this cantankerous old man, right?
Yeah.
But mostly I was just like, yes, we get it. He's a cantankerous old man.
Yeah.
Anyway, no.
Jerker?
No.
I mean, there was that bath scene. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Bit
First
of old
time
man
he's
knee.
drank in the house or smoked in the house?
Yeah, smoked in the house, yeah. Didn't he say that out loud as well?
He did say that,
that's
mate.
weird.
If you ever feel like asking yourself, did he say that? Like, yes, he did.
But
Yes,
you
he said that.
know, we've talked about voiceovers, right?
Mm.
This is where voiceovers would come in, which say these things.
That'd be
that
difficult,
it's
though,
not.
wouldn't it?
Well, you'd have to do it from the start. It couldn't just be one voiceover that comes in a
I mean,
bath.
look,
It's the first time.
you know I
smoked
like
in
to
the
repeat
house.
myself. It's just not necessary. It's not that smart of a film.
No.
You don't need to tell us. You and Clint.
Okay, and then so that means we. Oh wait, did we say? Oh yeah, no to Jerker, no to Jerker.
Yeah, no.
Top 3, Eastwood, directed or starring. What did you go for?
Well, I went for starring.
Starring, yeah, that's fine. I think mine are the same, so I think it's okay. Go on, what have we got?
Well,
He's directed over 40 films, I think,
Yeah.
which is
You
a
know
lot,
what?
by the way.
He's got without having like what I would consider absolute cinema classics. I mean, there are some cult classics in there, but without he's got a hell of a filmography. Really good.
When you act for like 70 years, I suppose the chances are that you're going to rack up a few.
Yeah, he's been going a long time. So I did have to leave a couple out. I left out Space Cowboys, which I think is a very fun film.
I'm going to be honest, Carl. I've not seen that many Clint Eastwood
Oh, really?
films. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit shocked at how few I'd really seen or could remember significantly to actually say yes or no.
None of the Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, and Good, the Bad, the Ugly made it.
See, I've not seen the dollars ones. I have seen Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
That's number 3 in the trilogy. Yeah, they didn't make it. Dirty Harry comes in first, so one of the Callahan movies makes it in for me.
Which isn't the one he directed, was it?
I think he did the
subsequent
later ones,
like
yeah.
Sudden
A Magnum Force and Sudden Death. Yeah,
Impact.
Is it Sudden? Yeah, Sudden Impact. Sudden Death is with bloody Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, that sounds
It's a
much
very
more Van
different
Damme film. Yeah,
good film. So Dirty Harry makes it. I think he's at the peak of his sort of young, sort of brash persona. Then great. Kelly's Heroes, number 2.
yeah, not seen it.
World War II.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's great in that. And then number 3, I did slot in Unforgiven. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. It was my number 2, which I'm glad I tried to fill that gap because I was genuinely looking, going like, oh shit, I need to like, I better watch a couple more of these.
It's good. It's a good film.
It was good. $1 Million Baby is my number 1. Clint's performance in that is outstanding.
I've not seen it all the way through.
What? What do you mean you've not seen it all the way through?
It's one of those I've like picked up at around the time it had come out.
Yeah.
As a much younger man, and didn't get through for whatever reason. I've never.
Oh, please watch it. It's very watchable as well. You know what I mean? Like it's not a difficult film.
What happens if it's as clunky as this though? You'll be really
not
upset.
as clunky as this. It's got Morgan Freeman in it. Come on.
Well, now I do like Morgan Freeman.
He is very Morgan Freeman in this. It's very good. It's one of. I was rewatching it. I was just like, it might be one of my favorite. Like, if I ever could be decisive enough to come up with the top 10 films of all time, which it seems unlikely, it might appear in there. And then I had Unforgiven, and then I had Gran Torino, but that was more of a lack of having seen it. I was going to put The Good, Bad and the Ugly, which was I rated about the same, but I watched it quite a few years ago now, and I can't. It didn't leave a lasting impression on me. Let's put it that way.
No, I
I hadn't seen the first two, so maybe that was why. Maybe seeing the third of a trilogy is maybe not the way to go.
Yeah, fair point. I mean, I haven't put that in mind either, and we're probably wrong on that because they have had much more of an impact on cinema history
it's a
than
Western thing as well.
Gran Torino.
Ones I haven't seen that I really should have by now is I've not seen The Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima as well, which I might go back and try and watch to fill a bit of a hole.
Yeah, I have never seen Flags of Our Fathers.
Oh, you've just seen the Letters from Iwo Jima?
But again, a long time ago. And I quite like the idea of going to rewatch them purely because of the concept of them showing the two sides of the conflict.
Yes. Yeah, that's the aspect I like as well.
So, I've not got them on my watch list, but I'm sure they'll make their way on there at some point.
Good stuff. You got anything else you want to share?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, that's all we've got then. So if we did move the needle for you, or even if we didn't, please do get in touch with us by email at hello@mtnpod.com. Also, please rate us, follow, subscribe, or whatever it is you do wherever you're listening. Our Twitter and Instagram is MTN Movie Pod, and you can also find our page on Facebook, or our page on Facebook. Details can be found in the show description. So from me and Carl, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
And right, Carl, I'm sick of recording this in the pod cube. I want to go in the shed. I want us to crack on with our shed.
The pube.
So I'll bring the tools. WD-40, vice grips, duct tape. Yeah. And as always, you bring the wood.
Yeah, very good.